Ladies and gentlemen, you have the great honor and pleasure of being introduced to Isar Meitis, who is the host of Leveraging AI, a podcast that you can listen to on a daily. He is actually a four-time CEO. So if you were looking for somebody who absolutely knows how to run a business and actually fold AI into their business to make it run better, that's the guy to talk to. He has also had just a number of amazing hosts on his show, or I'm sorry, amazing guests on his show that all range from business leaders to SEO to people who actually drum up teams, AI teams, and put them together. So definitely worth checking out his content at any and all times. Isar, by all means.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm honored to be here. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if the chat is open. Let me see. And I know I'm supposed to record this, so I will first of all start recording so I don't forget and don't get in trouble.
I am not sure if they unblocked it.
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, it seems to be recording. It didn't ask me where, but I guess you're just recording to my computer. Awesome. So now we can really get started. I don't know if the chat is open. But if feel free to ask any questions in the chat. But the goal of today's session is really high level, more of like a mindset and business strategy around AI. What I do for a living, I do AI training and education in companies and large organizations and small organizations, and I do AI consulting. My background, as was said before, I ran software companies for 20 years. I had two exits behind me. The largest company I've grew to $100 million before it got sold. So I have enough scars to tell some interesting stories. But really, our focus for today is going to be around AI mindsets and things you need to know as a business leader about AI and how to successfully leverage it in your business. And there's two segments to this presentation, and I want to make it as conversational as possible. So like I said, if you have questions, just write them in the chat. But the one segment is going to be more about mindset, and the second half is going to be a blueprint. I'm going to give you exactly what I give my clients on how to implement AI successfully in your business and the steps you need to take. So with that, let me share my screen and move this out of the way, and we'll get started. So I've developed these 5 laws for success in the AI era, working with a very large range of clients from very small companies. When I say small companies, is a few millions of dollars in revenue and 10 to 15 people. And my largest client has 36,000 employees, and they make billions of dollars, and they're a publicly traded company. But most of my clients are probably between 20 to 200 million kind of range in revenue. Now, these 5 laws are applicable for any law, even if you're a solopreneur. So that's the cool thing about them. So let's dive into the laws. So the first law is stop thinking efficiency and start thinking outcome. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool, but what the hell does it mean? So what it means is that as business people, we're trained, both if you took any business courses or did an MBA or anything like that, we teach to think about everything in business as a process and dissect the process to its smallest components, and then to look for efficiencies in the places that have the most limiting factor. So basically go through your bottlenecks and start expanding them. But the reality is, while that is true, it's not the right way to approach it when the AI era is here. And let's take a very simple example. Let's take customer service. In customer service, you have an intake. So let's say using HubSpot to do this. So there's a form somebody's going to do an intake for, or maybe there you have a phone number. So the IVR takes you through, click this to do that, click this to do that. So there's an intake step. After the intake step, there is some kind of evaluation that says, okay, this person wants a refund. This is technical service. This is that. And then you're going to take that analysis and then deploy it to the relevant customer service people. So then there's that step of, okay, who needs to take which customer service problem? Then it gets assigned to somebody. That somebody needs to do some research, needs to understand what's going on, needs to help solve the problem, communicate with the client, solve the problem, and then eventually document what they did. So then hopefully the next time it's not going to happen. We can improve the thing. So each and every one of them are steps. But again, I don't know if the chat is open, but I want you to think for 2 seconds is, what is the goal of customer service? And if the chat is open, just write in the chat what you think. If you think like, what's the goal of customer service? Is it having a better IVR? Is it having a better ticketing system that is more efficient for customer service? Is it more efficient way to distribute it to the right people in the customer service team? No, the goal of customer service is happy customers. That's what we're trying to do. And so if you can make happy customers without doing all these 9 different steps I mentioned before, that's what you want to do. And today there are AI systems that do that, that just know how to do customer service. They can connect to HubSpot, they can connect to other CRMs, they can connect to your ERP, they can connect to your financial systems, and they can take phone calls and they can take chat calls and they can answer emails and they can solve people problems on the fly without doing those 17 different steps. Now, that's not always true. Sometimes they will do 3 steps out of the 9. It's still better than going step by step by step. So if you are analyzing your business throughput through this new AI lens, you got to stop thinking about the steps of your process and start thinking where you're trying to go and look for AI solutions that will allow you to circumvent as many of these steps as possible. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is from profession to skill. Back in the 1700s and 1800s, there was a profession called computer. People had that on their business cards, assuming there were business cards in the 17 and 1800s. I'm not sure about that. But it's people who knew how to compute because nobody else knew how to do that and to do math. How many people you know today that have compute on their business cards? Probably very, very few. My next door neighbor, when I was a kid, was a typist. How many people you know that are typists today? Probably very, very few. Because these things with technology became a skill we all can acquire. That's happening right now to almost everything we know. If you look at the slide and my slides in general, I hope you like the graphics and the layout. I'm not using any third-party company. I don't have a graphic designer. This is me creating these images. This was not possible a year ago. I can do this now because professional design. Now, yes, a professional designer will do a better job than I am with these tools, but it allows me, somebody without professional design background or education or experience, to create things that are way above my ability before AI. And that's going to happen to most professions, not all, but most professions. I write code today. I don't have a clue what the AI is writing, but I'm creating mini applications that help me in my day to day do different small things without knowing how to write code because the AI knows how to write code. Does that make me a computer programmer? No, but it gives me a skill to do stuff that previously only computer programmers could do. So you can think about that when you're looking at your HR setup in your company and stop thinking about what professions you need to hire for or have in different position and start thinking about what skills you need. And these skills can be closed sometimes with a simple AI course that will take you or relevant people in your company from not having that skill to having that skill in 2 weeks rather than 4 years of university. And so it completely changes the mindset of how a company should run. And instead of looking what professions you need in different roles, you need to what skills you need in different roles. And then you map the gaps between what you have right now and where you go. And we're going to talk about this once we talk about the blueprint. The next one is there's 2 ways to win. One is having proprietary data, and the other is optimization. You can kind of see these two boxers. One has proprietary data in his head. The other one is like a lean machine, a lean, mean fighting machine. And again, this is an AI generated image that I generated that is perfect for this slide that doesn't exist literally anywhere else, which is really cool capabilities that we didn't have before. But for the topic of this slide, if you have proprietary data, you can train models even in ChatGPT. Just build a custom GPT, drop your data in there, and it will know how to answer questions that only you can answer, which is a benefit over your competition that don't have access to that data. So when you hear about, oh, I can train a model, it sounds really fancy and complicated. You can do this on your own in minutes and gain huge benefits across your organization by giving people easy access to the data you already have. The other thing is look for low-hanging fruits of processes where you can run your company 20, 30, 40, 50% more efficient than your competition, meaning you can lower your rates and still be more profitable than them, which means you will win a lot more business. And if they're doing it and you're not, then obviously it's the other way around, right? So, and if you can combine this two, if you can take your proprietary data, make it available through AI to your employees and optimize processes, you're obviously winning on two different aspects of the business. The next law is actually the last law that I added. It was the 4 laws of success before that, is the law of continuously improving compromise. And what I mean by that is a lot of people don't jump into the AI world because they tried it several times and it wasn't great. And they feel like they wasted their time and they feel that AI is just not good enough for their use case. And the reality is sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but it's good enough for many, 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 many use cases. Now you can wait for the perfect AI, whatever that is, if it ever happens, or you can start using it for the use cases in which it's good enough right now, generating a growing gap of skills, capabilities, efficiencies, and outcomes from the competition who's not doing it. And then A, you start benefiting from it now. And B, once that perfect AI comes, you're ready. Versus then you have to learn how to use AI across different aspects of your business. So don't wait. Find the use cases in which it's helpful right now and start using it right now. AI enables infinite scalability. I know there's no such thing as infinite scalability, but work with me here for a minute. Uh, every business is marketing that comes into business development, that goes into sales, that goes into producing a service or a product, that goes into customer service, right? Every business. And every business has bottlenecks in each and every one of those things. So let's look at marketing. Can marketing scale significantly with AI? Absolutely. You have a better understanding of your customers. You can analyze more data. You can create more content. You can personalize more of the content. All the stuff that you couldn't do with the amount of people you had before, you can do right now. Like, awesome. Now I need to nurture leads. I don't have enough salespeople or BDOs or whatever it is you have in your company. Well, AI can do that as well. AI is now very good actually at nurturing leads on a personal level. Like, oh, okay. So now I need more salespeople. I don't have enough people writing proposals. Well, it can help you write proposals that are personalized and based on our information and their information and the intake form and so on. Okay. So now I can produce the service or the product at that scale. Well, and so on and so forth. Now, for some people, the production side is really a bottleneck because they need more people because it's actual production. It's an installation of, uh, you know, anything. Like I'm going to install AC systems. I need people to install it. There is no AI cannot help me with that, but it can help you hire better people faster. It can help you plan the routes for the day in a more efficient way and stuff like that, which still helps you in the overall process. So AI enables you to dramatically widen the bottlenecks in every aspect of your business if you know what you're doing. So if you think about the traditional growth graph, it looks like this, right? And there's the point of diminishing return, and it happens in almost every place around the world with every company and everything. The reality, that's not true. And it hasn't been true for years for a few companies who figured it out. Because they figured it out, they can avoid diminishing returns, or at least somewhat avoid it and do this. So if you think about Google, if more people search on Google tomorrow, 20% growth in search, does that drive 20% more growth in people working for Google or Google overhead? The answer is no. Amazon, same thing. Netflix adds 30% more users around the world. Does that cost them 30% more to run the business? No. Why? Because they've been using AI and tools like that way before it was available to us. And they can find a lot of efficiencies in stuff that otherwise wasn't efficient. And hence, they can grow faster with less resources, which means they can keep on growing without diminishing returns. And now that you have access to AI, you can do the same as well. So the first thing I want you to think of is what are the things that you can do with AI that you can scale in dramatically. And don't do this right now, but write this on the side. And it's a list you can start running saying, oh my God, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. All the things that were bottlenecks before that AI can help you either eliminate or at least reduce the problem that they're generating. Now let's jump into the actual path to success. So this is the blueprint I use with all my clients. This is what I teach in my AI business transformation course. So we'll run through it very, very quickly. So I apologize for that. It's usually like a full hour session, but if you're taking notes, it will be a great way for you to know what to do. So the number one thing that's going to decide between you being successful as a company implementing AI or not is continuous education. There's a lot to learn, and a lot of people don't even jump in because like, I don't even know where to start. But that's the decision. The deciding factor, there's actually two. One is continuous education, and the other is leadership buy-in. Like if you don't have leadership buy-in, nothing's going to happen. But that's not something you can change. You just need that to happen. So continuous education you get through having several people in the organization. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Follow the right people. Follow different with podcasts. So it was said that I have a podcast called Leveraging AI. I do two things in the podcast. I host the best practitioners on the planet where they share exactly how they do specific AI use cases. And I also do AI Weekly News. But there are multiple other podcasts that you can connect to that might be more relevant to you in your niche, in your industry, in your topic, that can show you how to do different things with AI. You want to follow three different kinds of people. You want to follow people who share news, kind of like what's happening in the AI world. You want to follow the leaders in this industry to know on the broader picture where it's going, where it's going to be in a year or 2 years. And you want to follow people like me who are practitioners who can show you how to actually do different things with AI. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, your whatever your platform of choice to follow people. The next thing you need to do in your company is establish an AI committee. Who needs to be in that committee? The committee needs to have a person from each and every one of the departments, so sales, marketing, operations, and so on. Why? Because then these people, you'll hear different voices, both in means of needs as well as in means of brainstorming. You'll just get different voices, and you'll have champions in each and every one of the departments that can help you implement. The AI committee is in charge of everything AI in the company, including continuous education, including evaluating new tools, including developing new processes on how to use the tools, and so on. And we're going to talk about that later on. So everything AI, the committee needs to drive. They don't necessarily need to generate everything, but if somebody in the company has an idea of what to use AI for, he needs to go to the committee and they will help him go through the process of how to do this effectively and safely. The first thing the committee needs to do is to develop an AI policies and ethical guidelines. It's very easy to get this thing terribly wrong and have people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like sharing classified information or using it in unethical ways to drive more sales because their mortgage payment depends on that, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of other ethical questions. But that needs to be very, very clear to every employee of the company what is acceptable and not acceptable when it comes to AI usage. It needs to be taught to everyone in the company. It needs to appear on your website. You need to evaluate people to make sure they actually understand that, because the ramification, if you don't, might be very significant. As an example, and there's actually a newer example. This is from 2023. So in 2023, a filing case against Colombian Airlines cited 6 cases that don't exist because the lawyer was researching this thing with ChatGPT, and he did not know that these tools can hallucinate. Well, you're saying, well, that was early 2023. This happened 2 weeks ago to the largest personal injury company in the US, one of the largest law firms in the world, where they cited cases, 9 out of 10 cases they cited don't exist. So this is still happening, and not training your people on what to do and not to do can cost you stuff like that, like huge embarrassment, huge losses, lawsuits, etc. You need to do 3 different assessments, actually 3.5 different assessments. I'll talk about the half one because it falls into the strategic side of things. So on strategy, you need to evaluate how is this going to impact the future of my business. And there's 3 different aspects to that. Like I said, 3.5. One is, how is the value that I'm delivering right now is going to diminish or be eliminated by the fact my clients have access to AI. Let's take to extreme. If I'm a copyright agency, the chances of going to lose a lot of my business is significant. Maybe not now, but in the next 2 years, because nobody will ask people to write stuff because AI will just do it better. It's already doing it better today. Just most people don't know how to use it. But I'm at a very high risk. If I run a law firm and 30% of my income comes from billable hours on various aspects of research, like paralegals, that's going to go away. Nobody will be willing to pay you $600 of paralegal hours because they know you can do this in 6 hours. So what happens to the rest of the 594 hours that I can't bill anymore? So it has a very significant impact on multiple aspects of multiple businesses on the negative side. On the positive side, you need to think about what products and services you can now provide to your clients that you couldn't provide before because the ROI wasn't there, or you didn't have the skills, or you couldn't scale to that level that now AI enables you to do. And the third positive aspect is, how can you serve new types of audiences that you couldn't profitably serve before because you have access to AI? If you start doing this strategic process right now, hopefully the positive side will replace and even potentially grow compared to the stuff you're going to lose. HR skills. Oh, and I said the 3.5, you need to evaluate your data. you need to look internally and see what data you have, what formats you have it, where does it reside, which silos it sits in, and so on, and understand how AI can access that data and how you can provide access to that data and what level of security is this aspect of that data in order to understand how you can apply AI on top of that. Then there's HR skills. HR skills are the gap we talked about before. What HR skills I need in order to be successful in the AI era across multiple departments? What do I have right now and how do I close the gap? Do I fire people? Do I hire people? Do I get training for my people? Most of the work that I do is training companies. They bring me in, I help train their employees to close the skill gap of specific departments or the company as a whole or the board or whatever the case may be. So do the analysis first, understand what the gap is, initially bring people from the outside to close the gap, and then later on, develop these skills internally, going back to the very first point of continuous education. Then once you have the right baseline and the right people, you can continue doing this internally from there. And then the last thing is low-hanging fruits. We talked about the ability to understand what efficiencies can be done with AI on processes that they're doing on the day-to-day right now, just to do them in 20% savings, 50% savings, 90% savings. I give you multiple examples on each and every one of these numbers with clients and myself on how you can get huge savings in efficiency by using AI across multiple aspects of the business. We're going to skip the assignment. How do you know what is a low-hanging fruit? Well, it needs some kind of combination of these things. Something that is low risk, high value, repetitive, requires data analysis, requires data prediction, and requires some but not too much human input. A combination of any two of these will be a great starting point for AI initiatives. More than two obviously makes it a more relevant candidate for doing these kind of things. So this is kind of like my flower Venn diagram that can help you think about what to do. What do I mean, by the way, by high value? High value could mean things like things that drive the top line, like they're driving more sales, or things that reduce cost, or things that your employees hate to do, like tedious work they don't like doing, and you can take that away and allow them to replace it with more meaningful work. That's also high value. So these are this. Then you develop a plan, right? The plan needs to have tools and processes and training people and developing KPIs. Most people jump into the tools first, and sometimes people think that by giving people access to either AI level of tools within HubSpot or giving them Copilot in Microsoft is the solution. And it's not. Like without developing specific use cases with specific processes that are going and with specific training to the people who need to use it on how to do this, it's not going to provide any value. It's going to cost you more money, and it's just not a good business idea. Then you want to encourage AI usage. How do you encourage AI usage? Multiple ways. First of all, talk about it. The second, lead by example. So when I say talk about it and lead by example, as the CEO of the head of a department or head of a team, in the all hands or your weekly team meeting, you want to talk about AI. That's one of the topics that you're going to talk about every single week. You want to show stuff that you're doing on your own. You want to share success stories. Oh, Gina in accounting was able to do this thing with AI. Now the thing that used to take her 4 hours takes her 35 minutes every week. So share success stories. Gamify it. Give people stuff for coming up. So once a week, once a month, whatever frequency you want to do this, give something away to the person or the team in the company that was able to do something in AI that drives the top line, reduces the cost, or makes people not do stuff they hate doing. And give them something. That something could be gum, right? The thing is just to win. It doesn't matter what you win, but it could be something more important. It could be tied up to how much money it's actually saving or making. So you can win a cruise or lunch with the CEO. It doesn't matter. Just come up with stuff people would want to win and make it a game, and then more people will want to participate in it. And then the last thing that is one before the last is a little more tactical, and I actually didn't have it in the beginning, but I added it because I know how many companies don't have it, is a prompt library. A prompt library is a shared resource that everybody has access to or different departments have access to that allows you to save prompts that consistently deliver high results on a specific thing you want to do. So instead of every person trying to figure out how to do stuff with AI, once one person figured it out, they can share it with the committee or the committee itself do it. The committee evaluates it. If it's really better than what they had before, you replace the old way to do this. And now everybody within that department or that particular use case use the new prompt that can consistently deliver high results. And then the last thing is human connections. And I know this is an AI related presentation, like what the hell does human connections has to do with it? Well, the answer is everything. First of all, I'm a very personal believer that human connections are the most important aspect of business. But now it's becoming even more important. And the reason it's coming more important is this. And this is a research that was done by MIT, but since then, there's been other research showing the same thing. So what they've done is they've taken a large group of people across multiple skills in a company and gave them a task. And they evaluated a large number of people, and they took the bottom half of the people, scored 4.05 on that task, and the top half of the people, on average, scored 5.2 on that task. Then they taught them how to use AI to do the same task. And those half bottom of the people now scored 579, and the top people scored 6.6. So they both got a gain, but the gain of the bottom performers were significantly bigger than the top performers. If you aggregate that on a company level, what it tells you is that once everybody uses AI, the gaps between companies is going to shrink dramatically, which tells you that what the hell is going to be the difference between company A and company B if they're doing the same thing and they're doing it with AI, and AI is great at doing it. The biggest differentiator, there's other stuff, obviously internal processes and access to data and stuff like that, but the biggest difference is going to be human connections. How well do you run your business? So human connections internally. How well is your connection with your universe? And that includes partners, suppliers, distributors, and so on. And obviously your connections with your clients and prospects is going to play a huge role in your ability to be more competitive in the eyes of your potential and existing clients. That's it. This was my 30 minutes. If you want more of me, as was mentioned in the beginning, the easiest way is to go to my podcast called Leveraging AI. If you want to connect with me, the easiest way to do this it's through LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn. I'm there every single day. So if you go to my LinkedIn account, I have a weird name. My name is Isar Meitis. The good news is I'm the only Isar Meitis on LinkedIn. So while I have to spell and pronounce my name every single day, if you found me, then you found me. It's going to be very easy. Or if you want to know more about what I do, you can go to my website, Multiply. Or if you want to join any of the live free sessions that we have, and we do 2 a week, you can scan this code and it's going to take you where you need to go. Any questions? And I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do the questions if there's no chat open, but I don't know if people can open the cameras and so on.
People can come off mic, but I know that we've only got like 40 seconds left or something like that.
One question. Whoever wants to jump in first. I'll stop the share.
Can you tell us more about the class that you offer online?
Yeah, so one of the things that I do, I teach a course called the AI Business Transformation course. I run it roughly I run it all the time because I run it for companies most of the time, but I have bandwidth to run it to the public about once a quarter. And it's 4 weeks, 2-hour sessions, so a total of 8 hours, plus like office hours in between for people to ask questions. And it takes people from basic, I kind of know what I'm doing with ChatGPT, all the way through multiple tools, use cases, mindsets, and how to put it